And I guess an aha moment, very sadly, was my mom's funeral.
Oh,
My mom's funeral, there were two people there other than family. It just stood out to me that the true sadness wasn't her passing. It was the way she lived. It was the way that she actually didn't live when she was alive.
somewhere along the way, a lot of us decided that aging meant shrinking. Shrinking our dreams, shrinking our voices, shrinking our expectations for ourselves. And my guest today, Dana Hilmer, she didn't get that memo. There is something about her that feels expansive. Like she genuinely believes that getting older isn't about becoming less, it's about becoming more fully yourself. Here's the thing though, gosh, midlife, it has a way of bringing all of you to the surface. It brings the confident parts, the brave parts, and also the insecure and doubting and why am I still like this parts. What if we didn't need to feel the need to fix ourselves so much? What if feeling more alive doesn't come from fixing yourself? What if it comes from finally accepting all of you? And so today I am talking with Dana Hilmer about what it means to meet every part of yourself, the proud parts and the shame filled parts, with honesty and compassion. Because maybe reinvention isn't about becoming someone new. Maybe it's about making peace with who you already are and having some freedom to navigate from there. On that note, let's go. Dana, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. And I feel like there's nothing I need to say because you just said it all so beautifully.
No, no, I know you have more to say.
Oh, it's a big topic, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So I said, as I said in the intro, I don't think you got the memo that aging is supposed to mean shrinking. Is that true?
It is true. And it's kind
Uh-huh.
of learned, honestly, because I did not grow up with a mother who was like that at one point. I remember when I was 29 years old and I bought rollerblades. And my mom kind of looked at me and she kind of scuffed and she's like, "What are you going to be 30 years old and roller skating?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I hope I'm roller skating at 60." Right. And so, like, I did not grow up with that attitude. I did not grow up with it modeled for me. But I personally have really internalized this idea that when we're alive, we get to be fully alive if we choose. And I look for evidence of the amazing women, the amazing people that are doing things that you just would not think possible at age 60, at age 70, at age 80. And in the beginning, I almost looked to those people as my role models, right? Like I needed to see evidence and proof
Yeah.
this is true. And
That's why I do this
obviously,
podcast, Dana.
yeah, exactly.
I'm always looking for the evidence and the inspiration. Yeah, there's something to
Yeah.
that, right? It's
Yeah, and
remarkable.
it's interesting. I actually created my tagline, if you will, is "Living never gets old," and I really do believe that. And it never gets old unless you say so, right? Because the minute you say, "I can't do that because I'm beyond a certain age," or "That's not for me," or "It's too late," or "Who do I think I am to start that at age 60, whatever, 70, whatever," like as soon as you start going there, you prove yourself right. It's like you say that, you're right. You're not going to do it.
My 40s were that. That's what I was
Mhm.
doing in my 40s. And here's the thing, I didn't know I was doing it. I had no idea that
Mhm.
my ideas about aging were limiting me. It was just so part of the thought loop on repeat in my brain that was unchallenged belief
Yeah.
that I didn't know.
That is such a juicy topic because most of us believe that the beliefs that we have are fact.
Hmm.
But a belief is nothing more than a thought that you thunk enough to have it become your belief. And
Right.
so you can actually recreate new beliefs that serve you. But you need to do that at the level of thought. Like, meaning, start playing with new ideas, right? Maybe it is possible for me to change my career in my 50s and my 60s. Maybe it is possible for me to get in the best shape of my life after
Yeah.
menopause. Maybe, right? Like kind of playing with that thought. And now you're looking for evidence of it. Now you're seeing other people that are doing it. Now that you're seeing it, and I think we need to see evidence at times to fully believe and make that belief our own.
I think absolutely we do.
Yeah.
We need the
Mhm.
evidence. That's why I'm constantly putting it in front of myself because really it's so embedded in me that I'm still ageist. I am. I still notice internalized ageism
That's
thoughts
mhm.
circulating and I have to catch myself and go, ah,
Uh,
ah.
Yeah, and honestly, that is exactly what you need to do. It's in the noticing, right?
Yeah,
Because these beliefs that you say you're kind of not even aware of, they're tricky because we don't even realize that the
so
little
sneaky.
belief system is like running the show and you have no idea it even exists, right? So our job is to notice and kind of poke holes in it,
So
right?
your mom wasn't your example.
Mm-mm.
Where does all this come from for you? Like, does it just like naturally part of you, or did you have any kind of an aha, or just this is just in you?
Mm.
Because if
It,
it's just in you,
it,
I'm
it
kind
is
of jealous.
It's both. I had a grandma I absolutely adored, and she was so much fun and so full of life. And just even when she was having really tough health challenges, she was just this beautiful spark. I remember at her funeral, a woman saying, "Your grandma was just a basket of sunshine." And she was. And it's not that she avoided or didn't talk about the challenges she had, but she was just all in on life. So to me, my grandma is my role model. And I guess an aha moment, very sadly, was my mom's funeral.
Oh,
My mom's funeral, there were two people there other than family. She did not really fully live her life. I think she kind of lived vicariously through us.
mm,
I don't want to launch into a whole psychology of her, but she
yeah.
was not a healthy person. And so at her funeral, it felt kind of twisted. Like what popped into my mind was like a book title, Lessons from the Grave. I mean, like that is like stuck with me. It just stood out to me that the true sadness wasn't her passing. It was the way she lived. It was the way that she actually didn't live when she was alive. Like she missed the boat. And that's what's sad. And it just kind of was the icing on the cake, I guess, so to speak, to the story that I have around my own mom, who I love, and she did some beautiful things for me. And she was not healthy and she did not live fully. And I think her life and her death was representation of that.
I mean, sometimes having an example that shows us what we don't want is
Yeah.
almost even more powerful than having an example that shows us what we do want. Did you ever have a shrinking season in your
Hmm.
life?
Shrinking season, of course, right? And when I say of course, you kind of look at your life now, you can kind of see, like zoom out a bit
Mhm.
now and see these different stages, right?
Hindsight's 2020, baby.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the shrinking stage of my life was also a growth stage. It was interesting. And I think it was kind of part of what I was experiencing with my mom at that time, right? I was launching, I was going off to college, I was succeeding in college, I was getting cool internships, I was getting opportunities, and she was doing everything she could to pull me back, right? So I mention that simply because what I was experiencing in the outer world, there was an inner world that was kind of brewing inside me that was very opposite to the outer experience because of what I was experiencing with my mom, if that makes sense. So it took a lot of undoing, right? To realize that, wait a minute, I actually deserve this success. Wait a minute, I actually am worthy of. Wait a minute, I don't need to prove myself. Wait a minute, I actually can do. So I was living into that, but I didn't really believe it because I was getting this messaging that was, completely opposite.
Isn't it amazing? And I'm guessing that your peers were watching your success and thinking, oh, she's got it all sorted out and
Mhm.
figured out. And I just want to point that out for a second because it's kind of like going on to Instagram and seeing people's reels, seeing people's feeds and thinking they've got it all sorted. And
Wow.
here, every last one of us is feeling like we're not enough in some way,
Oh,
shape, or form.
yeah.
Maybe not at every moment of the day, but
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
we all have that challenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think getting older brings more of us, both good and bad, to the surface?
I think we're more aware of having less time left. I think there's an urgency that becomes more forefront in our mind that, someday may not happen. And so we actually, this is the time. Like if we want to do this thing, if we want to create this thing, if we want to experience this thing, either I'm doing it now, like shit or get off the pot, right? Like I mean, like there
Yeah.
is the urgency that's created. And repeat your question because I want to make sure I don't go off into any tangents.
Well, I think that midlife really does tend to bring everything to the surface. Certainly did for me. And
Yeah.
it started off with years of not feeling enough and
Mhm.
feeling, so that's kind of that surfaced first. And it had to get bad enough
Yep.
that I realized I needed to take the reins somehow. And I did realize it was stinking thinking that I was watching other people live their lives and thinking, why does everybody else have this thing figured out? Everybody else seems to like have all their ducks in a row except for me,
Well, and what a number we do on ourselves, right? Because that person is probably looking at you going, oh my gosh, I wish I had what Yvonne has, right? Like this comparison thing is evil. Like we
Yeah,
have no idea what their backstory is. We have no idea what they gave up to achieve that thing. Would we even do? Like, is it even important to us to show up every day to do the thing that they did and what they gave up
right.
to get where they're at? And what they gave up might be the thing that we cherish. Like, you just don't know what
Yeah,
that person's backstory is. And usually we're comparing their middle chapter, their end chapter, or whatever to our beginning. Like, who's not to say that we can't create this thing and then some, right?
I
Yeah,
think midlife, I've been saying this for years now. I think midlife is just a huge opportunity
I do too.
because chances are, hopefully, you still
Mm,
have enough energy and hopefully your health still allows you to be able to do some things that maybe when you're in your 80s and 90s, that's going to be more of a challenge. But here you are. There's so many areas of our lives, I think, in midlife where we can pull back and slow down and think about what
mm,
it is we want now
mhm.
and use that urgency
Yeah,
of time being limited. Okay, if not now, when?
right, right.
It's a beautiful
Yeah,
opportunity.
it is a beautiful opportunity. And for me, I also realized that there's a big gift in understanding our life and understanding and accepting like fully ourself and of course pursuing whatever it is we want to pursue, so I think it starts with ourself, right? I think it
Yeah.
starts with really tapping in and understanding and accepting and even loving ourselves. I do a group program called Evolve, and this was one of our topics that there are so many parts of who we are, right? Like we tend to look at the parts that are glossy, the parts that we're proud of, and that's great. I mean, that's what we want to lean into, right?
Hmm.
But I'll speak for myself. There's parts I'm shameful of. There's parts I'm guilty of. And I know for me, I put a lot of energy into hiding those things, or maybe not even looking at those things. And I know that's what a lot of people do, right? And so if we can actually look at all of who we are, these parts that are so amazing and loving, and these beautiful strengths that we have, and all that, and those parts that where we feel insecure, or we feel like we doubt ourselves, or we feel shameful or something failed or whatever it happens to be, if we can look at those parts too and kind of know that they played a role and love those parts of us too,
Yeah, they're
now
part of
we,
what brought you to this point,
yeah, and
for
I
good or
think,
bad, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah.
and I think that this is a stage of life where there's a natural, like, who am I? Who am I now? Like I may not be the stay-at-home mom now. I may have changed careers. I may have gotten divorced. I may have got a health crisis. I may have, like, things shift, right? And who am I? And to actually take the opportunity to kind of dive in and to understand more fully and to love more fully all of who we are and to accept that that's kind of, I think, the key. That meaning the self-acceptance and the understanding all of the pieces is more the key to being able to be more at peace and to being able to be more happy rather than shoving those things down and kind of operating in this place of who I think I should be. Right.
Yeah. What do you think in the work that you've done with women? What are the most common parts that women tell you they're embarrassed by? Do they share that
Mm.
with you?
Yeah, of course. I think they all kind of come down to the I'm not good enough. It just
Mm-hmm.
has different language, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not good enough could take the form for somebody who has, weight issues to, I'm not acceptable. I'm not lovable. I'm not attractive. I'm not, whatever. But that kind of comes down to the I'm not good enough. The entrepreneur, like, who am I to think I can charge that kind of money? Or I've never done that before. Who's going to trust that I can, right? So there's all this self-talk, right, that we have, the limiting belief, self-critic, whatever you want to call it, that at the end of the day comes down saying different things, but all kind of coming down to that I'm not good enough kind of core. And it's protective.
Yeah. Is this like, I've heard of this and I'm still kind of trying to understand it. Is this shadow work? Have
It
you ever
is,
heard that term
I
before?
have, and I haven't really totally dove into that world, but yes, the
Yeah.
shadow work is kind of the dark side, but it's the other side of your operating system and your personality, and we all have all these different sides. Like none of them are good or bad, right? And I
But we
think,
want to shove down those shadow parts,
oh,
right?
totally,
It's like,
totally.
no, nobody needs to see that.
No, and we are going to keep busy, and we are going to keep doing all this
And
stuff.
maybe we
And
don't
we are
even
going
want to see it, right? It's like,
to,
no, no, go away. That's a bad thought.
yep,
Stop, stop. And
stop.
I don't know about you, but let's say I start to go into a spiral, a downward
Yep,
spiral, we'll
yep.
call it. And then I start to go, I start to beat myself up
Mhm.
for feeling bad and then beating myself up for feeling bad about feeling bad.
And now you're in a total shame storm, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's so crazy.
Well, I think it's interesting too. Sometimes it's not even what we're saying to ourselves.
Hmm.
I think it's sometimes what our body is telling us. And I don't know about you, but
Oh,
I have been the
yeah.
queen of not listening to my body.
Mm.
And I'm on a health journey right now that's having me do a lot more somatic work and a lot more listening to my body. And I'm finding it to be fascinating. But
Clarify the term somatic work for
so, so
anybody who may not know what
yeah,
that
so,
is.
so somatic work is kind of acknowledging that your mind and body are one and being able to tap into what does your body need for safety? What does your body need for support?
Hmm.
If you're hurting in this moment, there are simple exercises that you can do. Like, for me, it's hand over breath.
Yes, that's a good
And
one.
I am,
For anybody who's listening right now and not seeing this on video, Dana and I have both taken our hands and we've overlapped them on top of our heart, and they almost look like wings on our hearts
yeah,
right now,
exactly.
right? That is
Right.
so
And
soothing, isn't it?
it's so soothing. And even like playing with the pressure, right? Adding a little
Yeah,
pressure.
yeah.
So it's interesting. I think so many of us are thinking completely with our head. And I will mark myself in that camp. I've got a beautiful head and I've got a crazy strong mindset. And of course, that's not surprisingly the world that I operate in and, positive psychology and coaching.
Right.
What I'm learning is the wisdom of the body. How sometimes you might not even be beating yourself up, but you may find that your heart feels constricted. Or you may not be doubting yourself, but you find now you got a stomach ache or now your breathing changed, right?
Hmm.
And so being able to pay attention to all of you and your body is sending you signals. And I still have more to learn, certainly in this area, but even the toe that I've been dipping into this world for the past several months, it's been amazing because it's made me realize that so often, so many of us are leading our life with our head and kind of dragging our body around.
We've been taught that the brain was in charge. That's what we've been taught for so long, and they are finding so much, right, about the gut microbiome and the mind body, literally the mind body connection is so powerful. Like just you talking about this, I started to pay more attention to my body and notice that sometimes I literally am holding myself together with my shoulders, kind of like, oh, holding it together. And I just ended up taking a deep breath while you were talking. And it was like,
Mm,
okay, just a deep breath
yeah, just a deep breath.
and noticing what are you feeling? What is your body telling you? Oh,
Mhm.
that's so good. That's so
Am I
good.
holding my body? Am I
Yeah,
bracing my body? Right? Like,
right.
like
Like,
there's so
do you find yourself doing
like,
it where sometimes I'm like, I don't need to hold my body together, but I'm acting as if
Yes.
as if I have some control over whether or not my body's just going to explode or something. Like, why am I so tense? Why am I holding it
Right.
all in like
Right.
this?
Yeah. Yeah, but
Crazy.
we can't separate our mind and our body. And we think that we can. There's some amazing research that's come out of the Heart Math Institute. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I
Yeah.
have heard of it, heard
And
of
they
it.
talk about a lot about heart rate and coherence. And what I find fascinating is they have proven that you sense things first with your heart. And
Mm.
then the message from your heart goes to your brain.
They
And
measure that like with EKGs and things like that, like brainwave EKG measurements. Is
yes.
that what I'm
Yes.
thinking of? Okay,
Yes.
so
And
there's
they
actually
would
some science to show that connection,
absolute
right?
science, and they'll put a disturbing image up and they will see that the person's heart responds before the brain does. And they'll
Wow.
put a happy, beautiful visual up and the heart responds and then the brain does. And I think it's fascinating that you cannot experience anxiety at the same time that you're experiencing heartfelt gratitude,
Right.
right? Like if
Yeah.
you are really in this beautiful place of just being so friggin' grateful for a particular experience or person or whatever, you can't be anxious in that moment.
Yeah.
And because I do at times, more than I wish, suffer with chronic pain, I did a little trial. I wanted to know, can I experience pain? And this is my own experiment, I've got to say, caveat. But
Yeah.
I wanted to know if you can't experience anxiety when you're in gratitude, can you experience pain when you're in gratitude? And when I find that when I'm in a very heartfelt place of gratitude, and it can require some focus, I actually realize I'm not experiencing pain in that moment. Right? So there's
That is
so
interesting.
it's
Yeah.
really fascinating.
I do try to tap into gratitude because I am aware that you cannot feel thankful and scared at the same time. They just can't exist in the same space. But that being said, if you are anxious, it's very hard to feel grateful. So there's
Mhm.
been days when I'm trying to do a gratitude practice, but I have a dark cloud over my head. And
Mhm.
there was one day in particular, I tried everything that morning to try to feel better. And I was definitely in the spiral of the feeling bad about feeling bad zone. I was like, girl, go for a walk. So I was like, it was a sunny day, went for a walk. And even as I was walking and trying to practice gratitude, I would see things along my walk that would trigger me again. And I would go back into the anxiety spiral.
Mhm.
It was almost home, I think. I had already kind of done a loop and was on the way home when I thought, well, what if I back off from trying to feel gratitude and just try to appreciate things? Like
Mhm.
somehow it seemed like more accessible just in my brain. So as an experiment, I was like, well, what would you appreciate, Yvonne? What can you appreciate right now? And I looked
Mhm.
over and I saw this very mundane office building,
Mhm.
nothing special about it. But I looked over there and I thought, oh, an architect had to draw up plans,
Yeah.
which helped him make money and feed his family. I can
Mhm.
appreciate that that also created a bunch of jobs when they had to build the building. And
Mhm.
now this building exists and people go to work there and they make money to feed their family, you
And that
know?
business exists, which is probably somebody's dream.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was like, I wasn't necessarily feeling grateful for that building or for
Mhm.
any of that stuff.
Interesting.
I started to get a rise of natural access to gratitude
Yeah.
for my own life. And I'm getting verklempt right now because it opened something up for me. It was
Yeah.
like a much easier way to approach that because sometimes it feels forced. I
Awesome.
think the reason I wanted to tell that story is because you started off by saying, now this wasn't a big experiment. This was, I don't have real research, but you do have
Mhm.
your personal experience of what that was for you and what that access is. And I think that has value.
I do too. I think there's a big value in that. And there was a couple of kind of threads I want to pull on off of what you said. You got yourself into more of a place of gratitude by being aware, right? It was that awareness, it was that curiosity, it was that leaning in to, I wonder what the story is behind that, or I wonder what. And so that naturally kind of helps shift your focus, to shift your energy. And so that was a beautiful illustration of how can I get myself out of my head, out of my swirling negative thoughts, and into a place that, if nothing else, is more neutral, right? So just that beautiful awareness and intentionally noticing. But the other thing I heard too is the desire to get out of the space, almost like there's something wrong with being in that negative space.
Big time.
And there isn't anything. Like, I think that's part of what we have to acknowledge too. Like, we're meant to experience all of our emotions. We don't want to go through the negative rabbit hole all day long. We don't want it to take over our life. But why don't we just give it 5 or 10 minutes? Why don't we just kind of say that even though I feel like crap right now and I feel negative right now, that's part of my experience at this moment. And there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with that. And if I try to resist that and push that aside, that's going to impact everything that's even good, that's even positive at this moment. We tend to think the goal is happiness and that something's wrong with us if we're not happy and at peace. No, something's wrong with us if we're not letting ourselves be human, right? And experiencing all of the emotions, including that day that you were in a funk. There was nothing wrong with you, and there was nothing wrong with experiencing that. But you get to decide, how am I going to intentionally get out of it? When have I let myself experience it and go through these emotions? And how do I want to intentionally get out of it? And that's what you did.
Yeah.
And that's powerful.
Yeah. And I do, that is something I struggle with because I immediately I start feeling bad and I want to get out of that place. I do not want to sit there,
Yeah,
you know? It only makes it worse.
right. Yeah, there's so much research about the negativity bias. Of course, we humans have the negativity bias, and the positive stuff just slides right off of us. And we actually really need to be intentional about how are we going to imprint, so to speak, or really truly remember at a cellular, visceral level those positive experiences. And we need to be intentional about that, right? That's where a gratitude practice comes in. And a gratitude practice is actually being intentional about what you focus on, because what we focus on creates our reality, certainly creates the reality of the moment. And if it creates the reality of the moment, that dictates our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, and our outcomes, right? So a gratitude practice is intentionally focusing on what is of service, right? What is going well. And that creates the lens you look through. Like, really conjure up to mind something that happened that was a beautiful experience for you. And to be able to conjure that up and to feel it again. Not just, oh, that was cool to go to dinner with my husband, right? But like, what was good about it? Like, we just felt so connected at that meal. And oh my gosh, the food was so good and it felt great to explore a new place. And that connection that we just felt, and I just felt open, I felt safe,
Hmm.
allows you to live that again. The
Have you,
negativity stuff, you're going to
yeah.
remember really easily, right?
Yeah, I'm hearing so when I hear that, I hear okay, being grateful for something that happened in the past. What about visualization and finding gratitude for something that you want that's in the future as if it's already happened? Do you ever play
Yeah.
that little game?
Oh my gosh, do I? And I play it a ton now. So, I mean, that's the essence of manifesting, law of attraction, all that stuff, right?
Hmm.
You want to put yourself in the place of being the person that has already achieved or already experienced or already created that thing. And now you're standing in that place and you're really grateful that you've been able to do this. And you're looking at all that gratitude of what you created and experienced. That is powerful, and it can be really hard, right? So I mentioned that I experience chronic pain. So as I'm doing my visualizations, I'm zooming out to, I got to go to dinner and tonight it was amazing. I didn't experience any pain. It didn't impact my walking. I was able to do everything I wanted. Like, oh my gosh, it was so exciting. Like, I'm envisioning that. And it's hard to do that when the reality is I'm actually experiencing pain and I can't move my neck at the moment, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I want to go on a vacation this summer. There are so many things that I love about my life and that I look forward to in my life. And if I let myself live in the restricted place of what my body says in the moment at times, right?
Hmm.
Because my
Hmm.
body is not being so kind to me at times in the day. If I stay in that place, my focus is not good. It brings down my energy. It brings down, vibration. It brings down everything, right? But you can't expect to solve whatever problem you're dealing with today with the energy, the focus, everything on the problem. You're going to solve it by stepping into being the person and at the energy level and vibration and all that of the person who already has solved it. I
Such
will
a
literally,
paradox. I
yeah,
remember hearing the phrase when I was really young that what you resist persists. And I can't, it keeps coming up for me when you're talking about chronic pain. Of course, you're going to resist it, right?
right.
For years, I was like, well,
It sounds like a slogan, right?
and I couldn't understand, well, why would what you resist persist?
Mm,
And I'm coming to realize that it is because you keep thinking about that thing. And because you keep thinking about that thing that you're resisting, you are creating a belief, and it keeps, it's like whatever you believe, it's true.
mm,
So you
mhm.
keep thinking on, about that thing you don't want, and the more you think about it, the more you think about it, the more you think about it, right? And so it
And
persists.
and your brain does not know the difference between the thing that actually happens and the thing you envision. And that
That's
is
crazy,
that's,
isn't it? Isn't
that's what I
that
think is so
crazy?
cool. It is.
Yeah, yeah.
And before we hopped on our call, I challenged myself to walk a longer distance today, and I didn't experience too much neck pain. And immediately I wrote down my evidence. I am a walker. I did it. I'm healing. This is proof, right? Like I'm putting myself in that this is proof that I am healing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our brain cannot tell the difference between reality and what we envision. And through that lens of resistance, what you resist persists. That's where most of our suffering, our misery is because we're trying to kind of fight against the reality of our life, or we're trying to resist these certain qualities in us that we don't necessarily love, right? When we're in that place of resisting, and God knows we've all done it, I certainly have, right? Like when we're trying to hide or suppress or push down or fight or completely resist that part of our reality, then we can't be in a place of peace, right? Like if we can actually be accepting of, like in
Oh,
my,
and I can hear people's bells going off. No, I'm not gonna, why, I'm not gonna accept pain. How would I? Or the word surrender, that's another
so
massive
a
triggering word, right?
massive triggering word, and we have to distinguish, and this is what I work on. Surrendering is very different from giving up.
What is the difference between surrendering and giving up?
To me, surrendering is being able to find peace in the moment, no matter how challenging it is. For me, it's more about how can I find peace in this moment? A lot of that is breath work. A lot of that is being present with it. It's fascinating because even with pain, if you stop and are curious about the pain,
Oh,
if
yes.
you actually observe it, you realize it's not staying still. It's not like just sitting there like this block of pain. It's moving. It's pulling right now. It's a shooting pain at my neck right now. Just relax. Like if you actually kind of follow it and are curious about it, it takes away some of the pain. It takes away some of that experience. An
That's exactly
example
what
of
I did with hot flashes. When I was having a lot of hot flashes, sometimes it would happen when I was sitting and meditating, and I'd go, oh, get curious about it.
Mhm.
Oh, look at that. And I'm just observing it
Right.
and not fighting it. And a negative thought would come up
Mhm.
and a hot flash would follow.
Interesting.
And noticing that while I was meditating, then was like,
Mm.
oh, maybe there's a little stress reaction to that thought that's bringing on a hot flash right now. Isn't that interesting?
Is
Again, observation, curiosity, awareness, right? All the
right.
things. And
Right.
then when a hot flash would come up when I wasn't meditating, just in the middle of the day doing what I'm doing, I'd be like, oh, okay, so is this tied to a negative thought? What was I thinking right before this came in?
Yeah.
You know?
And what is it trying to tell you? What's it protecting you from? That's the other thing that I learned
Oh.
about pain is sometimes pain is
Mm.
protecting you
Okay, tell me more
from.
about this.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
fascinating. And
Yeah.
this could be a whole nother episode. So oftentimes pain shows up because it's a protective mechanism. So there may be an experience or emotions that you're not wanting to deal with. And this is, you've been suppressing it down. And the pain is like the fire alarm. So what do we want to do? We want to put out the pain. So we like down the Advil or whatever to get rid of the pain. But the pain is just the fire alarm. It's not the cause. It's not the fire.
Mm.
What's the cause? Right. So in my current world of learning how to navigate chronic pain. And mine was triggered by a life-threatening trauma situation. But like, what was I trying to protect? In that situation, I try to thank my neck for saving my life. I mean, my neck was being yanked in the car on a highway, and my life was being threatened. And I sometimes thank my neck, like, yes, I know you're hurting right now,
That's
but you,
terrifying.
but you
That's
saved
ter
my life. You saved my life. You're so strong. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You don't need to keep protecting me. You don't need to, like, we're good now, right? Like, it's kind of how do you talk to that pain, which kind of gets to this kind of all parts of me work, right? Like if you're feeling guilt, if you're feeling shame, if you're feeling not good enough, if you're feeling whatever that thing is, we can kind of talk to that part of ourselves. We can talk to that part of ourselves and be like, okay, I get that you feel like you're not good enough right now, right? I get that you're saying that. But you know what? I have proof to the contrary. I have proof that I have done XYZ. I have, right? Like we can kind of be compassionate toward that part of ourselves, like it's a friend or another person, right? Like we would for another person. At the end of the day, our body is just, I'm unbelievably amazed by the wisdom of our body and how our body is actually, its primary job is to keep us safe, it's to keep us alive. And that's essentially what pain is doing,
Yeah.
is that red alarm that something is happening that is protecting you from.
Yeah. I
And
love
I
that
think,
idea of pain as an alert system in a way. Okay, here I have to ask this question.
okay.
Can playfulness or
Mm,
playful attitude help? Do you
yes.
see a tie-in to gratitude? Where do you see the
Uh,
tie-in?
I see the tie-in to giving yourself permission to live fully despite whatever is going on in your life. It doesn't matter how busy you are. It doesn't matter if you are having a health challenge. It doesn't matter if you're having a relationship challenge. It does, like whatever is going on in your life, you still get the permission to live fully if you allow yourself to. And I think that's where play comes in. I think that's where curiosity comes in. I think that's where just turning on some music comes in. And I think we can make everything more fun. Like even that project that we're dreading, we can still kind of turn on the tunes or like we can make something more enjoyable.
Yeah. What do you
And
do for fun?
for me, it's usually music. Yeah, it's funny. I'm just kind of goofy, so I think I just get goofy, especially at home. My kids think I'm a goofball. My husband thinks I'm a goofball. I think just kind of bringing out that part of me when I want to go out and have fun, it's always something outside or it's girlfriend time. I think my best memories, with my family are times outside, right? Whether it be
Yeah.
hiking or biking or, just being outdoors. So I think the things that are playful to me are anything outdoors and anything that includes a great conversation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you. I'm with you on both of those things. I
Yeah.
also have found that for me, physical movement, whether it's
Yeah.
outside walking or if it's just a dance break.
But what's interesting is when we get out of our head and get into our body, that's how we get present. I mean, literally, that's how we get
It's
present.
why I love roller
Literally.
skating because I have to be present. So there's the challenge of staying up on the roller skates, right?
Exactly.
And so whatever I've come to, whatever worries or anxiety I had at the beginning of the day, when I strap on my skates and go for a skate or on my paddleboard, it's another one where the focus required to do the activity just makes all the other stuff fall off
Pull offs.
because of the
Yeah.
physical challenge of it.
Love it. And I think that the same thing is said about creativity, right?
Yes.
It requires your full focus, your full attention, and you get immersed into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, any of these situations, including the example you had of that day you were in a funk and you went for a walk and you were observing the office building, it's getting out of our head and tapping in to our body in some way. And I would argue that creativity is also tapping into your body. But that's what brings us into the present, right? Because our head can just be doing time warps all over the place.
Oh,
Yeah.
powerful stuff. So if
Yeah.
somebody is listening right now and feels like she has, shrunk her life or is shrinking,
Mm.
either her voice or her body or her dreams, what would you say?
Why not me? Why not me? Why not me be the person who says the thing? Why not me be the person that starts the thing? Why not me? Right? Like giving yourself permission. I
Yeah.
think that's what we're waiting for. It's like we're waiting for somebody to pick us or to say, you are now strong enough and boisterous enough and you know enough. And you like pick your damn self and just start, right?
Mm.
Like, you don't need to know more. You don't need to learn more. You need to start. And then when you start, that's where you start learning and you figure out your next step. So give yourself the damn permission. Don't wait to be picked and just get started.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Mic drop moment right there. I think that's the perfect place to end it. You have a thing for listeners, right?
Actually, for those that can see it, I have a workbook journal that is your relationship with all of you. And it has you really exploring with reflection questions and exercises the different parts of you that show up in those moments where you feel really accomplished and really proud of yourself, and in those moments that are challenging, and learning to kind of identify those different parts of yourself and how you can provide support to those parts of yourself that are feeling a little more challenged at the moment. It's free, no email required, and it's on my site. It's wiserandfree.com/knowing you. So,
Perfect. So your website is wiserandfree.com. I'll have it in the show notes for you and in the
awesome.
description for the podcast. So you can go and get that very generous thing from Dana. Is there anything else that you're excited about and coming
Yeah.
up?
I'm excited about my upcoming program. It's called Evolve. It's a group program for women, and you can go to
Cool.
Wiser and Free and check out the details if you're inclined. I'm also just really excited of going back to the Canadian Rockies. So we're going to go there this summer, and I'm looking forward to that.
That
Yeah.
sounds
Oh,
dreamy.
it's amazing.
Oh, Dana, thank you so
Yeah.
much for today. Thank you for the conversation.
Yeah. Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And for you listening, if you're new here, welcome. If you are a repeat listener, thank you. Love having you back. This whole space exists because my intention for you is to shake up what you believe about what it means to grow older. I really do believe midlife is the perfect time to play and to reinvent and bloom big without rejecting who we've already been, because that's all in there. Anyway, if that speaks to you, make sure you subscribe. I'm here every week. Share this episode with a friend who might need to hear that nothing is wrong with her. And yeah, living never gets old. Thank you for that, Dana. And neither just becoming more fully yourself. So I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, bloom like you mean it.